Today we're going to figure out who made the better My Hero Academia figures, McFarlane Toys or Jazwares. Stay tuned. Hey, what's happening, YouTubers? As you heard from my opening monologue, it's going to be a good old showdown. I haven't done one of this in a while, but we're going to compare the Jazwares Total Anime My Hero Academia figures versus McFarlane Toys My Hero Academia figures. And I won't be putting them up against, obviously these are way different categories, against the Bandai and the Figma My Hero figures. Objectively, they are better too, but that's not in the comparison. It's more so in the retail domestic line, and another figure that won't be in here or another line is the Bandai Anime Heroes line, because I just think this figure just isn't good, or the figures from this line aren't good either. Like, so to put a comparison with these two is kind of be unfair, even though some people might say this is better than the McFarlane Toys one, but that's a discussion for another day. So the way I'm going to break it down are three categories: articulation, sculpt, and accessories. Without further ado, let's get started with articulation. Now, you might assume when it comes to articulation, Jazwares probably takes this in the bag. And you're probably right. But I'm going to break down why. Now, some of these figures, in terms of McFarlane's, aren't that bad in terms of articulation. And by not that bad, I mean Todoroki, to be honest. But let's go and break them down one for one. So the three characters I've selected are Shoto Todoroki, Katsuki Bakugo, and of course Izuku Midoriya. And we're going to compare these two first with the articulation. So when it comes to articulation, the Izuku Midoriya figure from McFarlane Toys really is limited when it comes to the torso piece. The cuts are there, the execution just didn't hit the mark, because there's really nothing to really, apart from rotating it like this, the ball joint at the hip really serves no purposes. It's just stiff and nothing happens. And another point that is also kind of frustrating is the neck articulation. His mask right here is a hard piece, something that Jazwares engineered better because it's using a softer plastic or kind of a rubber piece, so when you do move it or rotate it, it doesn't affect or hinder the articulation of the neck. And when it comes to the articulation in the torso, it is much smoother and better than the McFarlane Toys one, especially because the ball joint at the hip can actually get some range as opposed to no range from the McFarlane Toys version. Another awesome highlight for these Jazwares figures is that they actually have drop-down hips, which is nice to see, meaning you can get them in their dynamic signature poses. And those same sentiments can be shared when it comes to Bakugo's figure. Much like Deku, the ball joint at the hip really doesn't serve a purpose because there's no movement on there. And if anything, this one's worse because the diaphragm joint also doesn't really give it much swivel at the top. However, when it comes to the Jazwares line, much like this one, like Deku's, it does have that smooth rotation with the ball joint at the hip. The torso or the diaphragm joint is actually just like the McFarlane one, where it is limited with articulation. It's kind of like hindered a little bit. However, where they really excelled with this Bakugo figure are the grenade gauntlets. If we take a closer look in, there's actually rotation at the gauntlets, so you can keep the hand posture the same, while at the same time swiveling the grenade launchers, or the gauntlets I should say, which is nice, something that McFarlane Toys couldn't engineer with theirs. Now, it's not all completely L's when it comes to McFarlane's articulation, because this Shoto Todoroki is actually better at the torso than the Jazwares one. And the difference between this one and then the other two is that he's not using the same articulation scheme. It's actually a rubber overlay that goes over the figure's torso. So you can actually get him in better crouching poses at the torso than you can actually at the Jazwares figure. So there you can see that the McFarlane one gets slightly more movement going forward. Just looks like he's all up in his ass. But apart from that, this Todoroki one for one, and comes to articulation, can go head-to-head with the Jazwares one. The only advantage with the Jazwares one, or one of the biggest advantages, is that it has the drop-down hips. So when it comes to articulation, I'm going to have to give this one to Jazwares just because 2 out of the 3 figures really excelled in articulation, unlike the counterparts from McFarlane Toys. Now, the next category we're going to dive into is sculpting, something that is synonymous with McFarlane Toys, or should be synonymous with McFarlane Toys. So let's go and take a look. Taking a look at Deku first, when it comes to sculpting a Deku figure, it seems like companies really can't get it right apart from Bandai. And yes, I'm including the Figma versions as well. Apart from Bandai's SH version, and actually the Anime Heroes one is not that bad compared to these two, I have to go with the McFarlane Toys version, even though some of their ones have been real misses, like this version right here. Like, what is that? Come on, man. The Jazwares one looks fine, but where they kind of lose the bar here is the hair sculpt. It kind of looks like he has a mullet here compared to the McFarlane Toys version, which is more true to the anime style. In addition to the head sculpt, the sculpting and rest of the figure is actually pretty nice on both figures. However, I think McFarlane Toys excels just because the sculpt work is a little bit more intricate on their figure as opposed to Jazwares. And same thing can be applied to the bakugo figure, as the McFarlane Toys version has a little bit more intricate details and patterns on the suit in terms of sculpting compared to the Jazwares. Although where Jazwares has the McFarlane Toys version beat are the paint applications and the paint passes. Now when it comes to Todoroki's figure, granted these are different outfits, I'm actually going to give this one to the Jazwares one just because I know it's a different suit, but I like the more detailed outfit compared to the McFarlane Toys version. However, the McFarlane Toys version has the better head sculpt. And when taking a closer look at the head sculpt, the Todoroki figure on the right from McFarlane Toys just pops more. It looks like they just did a better paint pass deco and sculpt work on this, whereas the Jazwares version looks a little bit softer. To me, that's kind of the thing with Jazwares when it comes to their head sculpts. They look nice, they just don't really pop as much as the McFarlane Toys one. It's just something about the sculpt work and the paint application on the McFarlane Toys that stand out more than the Jazwares version do. So for the category of sculpt, I'm going to have to give this one to McFarlane Toys, and just like that, we're an even 1-to-1. So the last portion we're going to delve into is accessories. And this is going to be pretty quick, and I'll show you why. Here are the boxes that the figures originally came in. I'm going to highlight the Todoroki one specifically because I still have the box from McFarlane Toys. But just off optics at first glance, which do you think gives you more accessories? If you said the McFarlane Toys one, you're 100% wrong, because look at the discrepancy and the differences of accessories offered from Jazwares compared to McFarlane Toys. So when taking a look at the Jazwares offering, they gave you 3 face plates, 3 effect pieces, 2 sets of hands at the $16.99 price point. That's insane. Compared to the McFarlane Toys version, you got the figure, 2 effect pieces, and one of these stands. I don't have the original one, but it looks like this. Now keep in mind, this was actually more than the Jazwares version at the time of release. They don't have the license anymore, and rightfully so. But this was $19.99, and this is, I should say, $16.99. The accessories category is going to be pretty much the same when it comes to all the other Jazwares figures, so Jazwares takes this by a huge landslide. So the final category being 2-to-1 with Jazwares obviously taking this, and it makes me hopeful for the line. Granted, the line is a total anime line, so it's not exactly all My Hero Academia stuff, but so far they've done a good job. I'm hoping that they do, other characters like All Might next, or potentially an Ochako. But let me know who you think you'd like to see from Jazwares' total anime line. Now, when it comes to McFarlane Toys' My Hero Academia line, I think it's a huge missed opportunity. And the reason why I say that is the popularity of the anime and the manga. Now, granted, this isn't as popular as the DC Multiverse line, but I think the My Hero Academia line could have definitely carried the toy brand for the next couple years if it was done right. Yeah, we got some good characters from McFarlane Toys, but it could have gone deeper into the lore and give us more characters that we needed to fill out the roster. I'm hoping Total Anime kind of does that with their line. I'm very optimistic with Jazwares going forward, just because so far 3 figures in, they haven't disappointed yet. Well, with the exception of that Deku head sculpt, but that's a topic for another time. But in terms of engineering, accessories, and offerings, they've definitely knocked it out of the park. And in my opinion, 3 figures deep, they've already outdid what McFarlane Toys did. But let me know in the comments below, YouTubers. Who do you think made the better My Hero Academia figures, Jazwares or McFarlane Toys? Sound out the comments below, and like always, if you like what you see, be sure to hit that like button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching.